Welcome to the Andrewsphere. As we've seen in the last video, number 300, we are now entering the Andrewsphere, which means that every video is with some reference to Andrewsphere, also known as Andrew Blaze. And the rest of the pack usually follows. So I'll present you a little rest of the pack with a cross-reference to a previous video of mine, which had the number 235, where I mentioned some perpetrators. I am interested in spree killings. I do not judge them, but on the other hand, I do not glorify them. I just mention them, and I mention the fact that these people were here with us in our world. Here you read Randy, who is Andrew. Then we have a citation of Eileen Warnos. This is the citation here. I'm going to talk that in a while. Then we have Adam Lancer. He looked really shitty. Actually, Adam Lancer was innocent. The real perpetrator was the hairdresser of Adam Lancer. And then we have this Mr. David. It's hard to read, but this is this David Kozaks, with whom I've done about 8 recordings during Christmas and the turning of the year, because if I remember that well, he did his deed on 21st of December. And this was a terrible deed. So he did this in Prague, and he had a Telegram channel which had the name of David Kozaks. Here I do not pronounce the name in its correct way, as a matter of discretion. So this little puppet here is dedicated to the remembrance of this dreadful perpetrator. It was a story that interested me a lot. The problem is just that if there was ever any news about his case or any analysis, it's all in Czech. And I do know a handful of languages, but I don't know Czech. And he wrote a Telegram diary. And as far as I've understood, he wrote that in Russian. I could have read it, but I think he only wrote it for himself. And of course, in the meantime, his diary is closed. And I would have been so enormously interested in his Russian diary. I think he spoke Polish as well. I could talk ages about Mr. David Kozaks, even if I don't know very much, because I don't speak the language of his country. I don't speak the language of Prague, actually. So we come now back to Eileen Warnos. She said some things shortly before she consumed her death sentence. This is not an A here, which it usually is, but it is a U. So she said that in 2019, remember that year, that we would all gonna get N.cut. What happened in 2019? On the 17th of November in 2019, the first coronavirus spread in China. 2019 was the year that turned over all our usual daily life, let's say, because wars came, the 7th of October came. I do not even mention Russia. So she was right. But I mean, I think she consumed her death sentence decades ago, yeah? But from some intuition, she named that year 2019. And now we know, after all these years, we know that 2019 was the year when it started, that everything deteriorated substantially and, above all, irreversibly. So she was some kind of prophet shortly before her death. But the same thing occurs with Andrew's diary. If you remember well, he said that after the year 2200, that there would no longer be a humankind as we know it now. And drawing into account the substantial rise of temperature, and that we have only 60 harvests left in this world. So, with what do we feed our 9 billion people? Or with what do we feed the animals that 9 million people would like to eat? Huh? So, in the year 2200 there may be some humans left, but in stage that would rather correspond to Stone Age. Now we are all living in a really privileged situation because we can transfer thoughts from one point of this putrid planet to just the opposite point of this putrid planet. So when I live in German-speaking countries, these thoughts could be read, could be heard within a couple of minutes in New Zealand, for instance. So this is what I wanted to say today. I don't know if I have forgotten any of the perpetrators that I wanted to speak about today. So of course this was Randy, this was Adam. Adam I just mentioned due to his hair. Then that was the citation of Warners and David Kozaks. Well, there would be things to add about Adam Lanza, apart from the fact that he was really ugly and his eyes were terrifying. This is why I do not feel so close to that Lanza, but I still feel so close to that Andrew Blaze. Thanks for your attention.